Well, I think that as I was listening to you guys talk, it was what really came to me, and answering that. So 2 or 3 episodes ago, when we were chatting, we were talking about the fruit, and we were talking about the farmer, and we were talking about in our life, and you were talking about basically not being worried about the fruit, not being the fruit inspector.
Yep.
You know,
the husband. No, what?
Husbandman. That's out of a different book, but yeah, like the vine dresser, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not our job to be that.
No, because God is the vine dresser.
Exactly.
So He prunes here and there, and so I want to take that, because sometimes in our lives, first thing I want to say is, when the conditions are right, does the fruit come naturally?
No.
Okay, tell me why.
We still need to do our part. We still need to believe. We still need to.
Now remember what my question, though.
That's part of the condition.
When the conditions are right.
So if we're doing our part, that's part of the condition. Conditions to make that environment right.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's the way I hear it. That's the way I hear the question.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's right, but anyway, like I think of it this way: if you plant a seed and you don't have water, the conditions aren't right in order to help that to grow.
Right. So the seed is faith.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
The seed is faith, and the seed is the word of God, and so that's what begins. You begin that planting, and so you got to have soil, which is the heart. And that's got to be right. So are there any variations, or did Jesus talk about any variations to the soil, and what happened with that?
Definitely. Seed that falls on the hard ground, on the rocky ground, on the dry ground. I can't remember what else, but then good soil.
Good soil.
And good soil, we were talking about this on Monday night, actually. Good soil being a soft heart.
Are any of us good?
Well, we're not good, but he's talking about the soil, and what I think what God has done to prepare that soil, to prepare your heart to receive that, right? Sometimes that's brokenness in your life where God brings you to that place. He softens that soil where before, if it's hard, it just lays on top. If it's rocky, it lays, and then Jesus does, gives that. Well, there are some that falls by the wayside. There's some that goes into the thorns and the cares of this world and the deceitful. So it never really becomes fruitful, right? So the soil, the word is the seed is always good because that's the word of God. Then the watering of it.
Yeah.
You plant. The farmers are planting now. If they don't get a spring rain, they have nothing.
Yeah.
Right, so that's another condition. The water, and by the whether we could do a lot of what that water is like, but let's move on for the sake of time. So the water. What else do you need?
Nitrogen, fertilizer.
Okay.
Manure.
So that let's put the soil's been prepared. It's good soil, so it's got all of that in it. What else you need? When I say it, you're going to say, that's so obvious.
Air.
Sunlight.
Sunlight. Yes.
That's so obvious.
I can't believe it. I can't.
Yeah, you need the sun. So what does the sun do? It provides heat, provides warmth.
Before the itsy bitsy spider climbed up the spout again.
So the sun provides so much, right? Yeah. And so are there any other conditions?
I see what you're doing. It's not S-U-N, it's S-O-N.
Yeah, the sun. So the sun's setting that seed free so it can grow.
Seed. Yeah, the word is God. The seed. The sun Jesus.
Well, and Old Testament passages, the Son of Righteousness is risen with healing in his wings, and it's spelled it's spelled that way. And so,
Yep. Puzzle
so
pieces.
now
Feel like I'm
we
on
look
Da
at
Vinci
all of
Code.
the condition. When the conditions are right, there's enough rain. There's enough of the sun. There's enough of. You get too much rain,
Yeah.
floods it out.
Yeah.
Too much sun.
Yeah.
That one's in the Bible.
Yeah.
Floods it out. One's there.
So when the conditions are right,
Yep.
it produces fruit,
Yep.
right?
Well, I'm just thinking of our where it came to our relationship and friendship, and like you said, I feel like I really didn't do anything. I didn't, but we came into this.
But
This is where I'm.
But what did you need to do?
What did I need to do?
Yeah. What did I need?
You needed I don't know, interaction, a friend. I don't know what you need. What did you need?
Well, but that's the question. You were there and you were ready to answer. That's what you did.
God orchestrated that.
You were there. You were
So,
ready.
so the conditions were all met.
Exactly.
And you were prepared.
Yeah.
God was at work in your life. He was viewing something and knew that and
Yeah.
and
I
there's
can tell
another
you.
part of being fruitful that we often forget. That's the vine dresser, going back to what your statement was.
Yeah.
And what does the vine dresser do once? So once the vines are running, once everything is happening, what's the vine dresser do next?
Prune.
What does he prune?
Prunes the other offshoots vines that want to sprout, or the other things in our life, so that I think
things that are withered, things that aren't helping, things that are taking your energy, things that you that are holding you back from growing.
Yeah. So
exactly, so I've learned a little bit about vines, but if you just let it grow, it's not going to grow to the full potential because
And then it starts
it's
to
sending
die.
energy in too many different directions.
exactly.
And it
So
just
if-
starts to die out.
Exactly.
It starts to
And then the
suffocate
fruit
itself
can't
out.
be produced. So when he's saying that in John, the book of John, he's
Chapter
saying
15.
chapter 15. Yeah, the vine dresser, which is the Father, prunes us
Yep.
essentially in order so that we may bear much fruit,
Yeah.
more fruit.
Fruit
So
being
yeah,
carrots. They grow on vines.
and I have a friend that grew up in Italy, or sorry, he's from
And
Italy.
he grew carrots on vines.
He grew carrots on vines.
Carrots are ground fruit, folks.
Yeah, exactly. We're from Alberta.
Debatable.
But
I was homeschooled.
he understands it from a different perspective because they have olive trees. They had grapes. They had wine, and so he said growing trees for wine, the grapes,
Vine, yeah.
the vines. He said it's the worst. It's terrible because you have to be constantly pruning and cleaning those in order for that to produce
So
properly.
they call those, in a lot of places, they call them sappers.
Yeah.
So they keep putting out, but they never produce anything. But they do, they suck the life. And so when God is looking at our life, when God the Father is looking at our life, and we've got all of these sappers going out, and it's draining away, and from that, we're looking at it. And I remember when I was the first following Jesus, and I read that, and it says, and when they... when they started to bear fruit,
He prunes them.
he prunes them, and I go, that's not fair, because you got the other ones that are not producing fruit, and it doesn't say he prunes them.
Yeah.
And I looked at it in my life, and I saw God cutting off some of the stuff that I really liked and really enjoyed, but all of my energy was going into all, and I wasn't producing spiritual fruit.
Yeah.
And so when he prunes that, and there's another interesting Old Testament in the book of Song of Solomon, it says that the little foxes spoil the vines. And we don't get that in our culture. But what would happen is the little foxes are cutting their teeth, right? And so they come in through the vineyard and they nip, 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 nip. And what it's talking about there is talking about Jesus and his beloved. It's the picture there. And in that,
Just beloved being the church.
Us.
Yes, us. Yep. Okay.
and so he says, kind of beware of the little foxes that spoil the vine. And we often think, well, it's the big ones. They'll chew it off. And what happens is the little foxes just nip, 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 and no longer can the life-giving flow through it,
Right.
and it sucks the life out of it. And so that relationship thing. So
Yeah.
what do we have for time now?
That's it. That's all,
it.
folks. For this one.
Yeah.
We, depending on how things go and how this all sets up, you could see these episodes turn from a 10-minute thing to a 20-minute thing. It won't go past 20 minutes.
Yeah. I think that's our cap.
But I think depending on how this
What-
shakes out. And
Agreed.
Well, one nice part is if we do go to 20 minutes and somebody that's listening or somebody that's viewing says, I only got 13 minutes, I got 15 minutes, they can go get one of the other episodes. And
we'll still be here. We'll be still here waiting for the
Kelsey's not going to let us go home.
No.
That's right. I lock them up and then I come back and I film. No, I guess truth be told, I better get to my vines and start picking my carrots off of them.
Hey, I think I know a guy that has carrot pickers.
Yeah.
Gary.
Farmer John.
Farmer
You
John.
better be listening.
You better be listening.
John, if you're listening, comment below.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for
Truth be
joining.
told, thanks for joining